The tragic fate of families, separation of children from their parents, separation of wives and husbands, forced relocation, deportation, filtration and torture. All this evidence was collected by the international human rights organization Amnesty International in its report on Russia's crimes against the Ukrainian people.
Why is this report interesting? It is based on interviews with the direct victims of this process, forced displacement, and in fact almost everyone who left was subjected to humiliating procedures, and there were tortures. There were also conditions that we call close to ill treatment.
Human rights activists interviewed 88 people, 48 of them from Mariupol. They in particular said that the Russian military did not allow them to leave the city for the territory controlled by Ukraine. Instead, people were forcibly taken to the occupied part of the Donetsk region and then to Russia.
Amnesty International documented several cases of forcible transfer from Mariupol to Donetsk of unaccompanied children, the elderly and people with disabilities. In some cases, the Donetsk People's Republic forces searched for children, people with disabilities and the elderly who had already reached relatively safe areas and were planning to travel to Ukrainian government-controlled areas, and redirected them to Russian-occupied areas of Donetsk. From an Amnesty International report.
Among other things, the report described the story of the 28-year-old former Ukrainian police officer who fled Mariupol on March 25 to Volodarsk in the occupied part of the Donetsk region. He and his girlfriend were kept in the school building while waiting for filtration. On March 29th, militants of the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic took him to the police station, where they interrogated and beat him.
A man in uniform hit me with a club on my legs. He started yelling, "Come on, quickly, tell me everything," and hit me on the shoulder, and then once again on the back. He put a white bag on my head, blocking the access of air. One of the men said, "Let's take him out into the field and then we'll kill him." Maxim was released and moved to Russia. In the end, he managed to leave the country through Belarus. From an Amnesty International report. It is legal evidence, they are documented, they are entered as criminal proceedings by national law enforcement agencies, and then, together with Ukrainian law enforcement officers, this information is combined and put into a joint investigation of these crimes.
Amnesty International human rights activists call on the International Criminal Court to immediately launch an investigation into the cases of war crimes described in the report. They also know that this is only a visible part of them, and their number is growing with each day of Russian aggression. Reported by Roman Smoler, Vasil Panasyuk, UATV News.